Welcome everyone to Facebook Advertising Deep Dive Beyond the Boosted Post Part 2. Because of time constraints, I ask that you save your questions until the end of my presentation. As a reminder, I do offer one-on-one training, so if you need help setting up your campaigns or need other general how-to assistance with Facebook advertising, I'd be happy to help you. Let's start with a recap of Part 1. In Part 1, we learned that Facebook ads are sold in an auction, and your cost is based on a number of factors. We covered all the differences between Boosted Posts, Ad Center, and Ads Manager. Then we got into the details of what campaigns, ad sets, and ads are, where you can place ads, and the ad formats available. In today's session, we're going to take a look at some more advanced options available in Ads Manager. Let's dive in. In Part 1, I covered the basic audience options that are available whenever you create your ad. Facebook calls this the core audience. It's where you can narrow your audience by geographic area, age, gender, interests, demographics, and behaviors. Custom audiences let you find audiences based on previous activity people have had with your business, whether online or offline. You can use sources you provide to Facebook, such as uploading a customer list, or use Facebook sources, which include people who have engaged with your content on Facebook. In Part 1, I mentioned that boosted posts no longer allow you to target people who've liked your page or follow your content. Fortunately, you can still market to these audiences using Ads Manager. The one caveat here is all custom audiences must contain a minimum of 100 people in order for Facebook to serve ads to them. Custom audiences are broken down into several types. A website custom audience requires the use of a Facebook pixel, which I'll cover a little later, and matches people who have visited your website with people on Facebook. A mobile app custom audience requires the use of Facebook's software development kit to pass data to Facebook from your app and use that data to specify who you want to include in your custom audience. A customer list custom audience requires you to upload a list of your customers to Facebook. Then Facebook cross-references the imported information with its user database to match Facebook users to the data you import. The end result is a custom audience of Facebook users that can be served ads. The information on a customer list must include at least one of the following identifiers: an email, phone number, or mailing address. So Facebook can locate user profiles by searching for one or more identifiers. Keep in mind, some of the contacts in your initial list will not be linked to a Facebook account. And as I mentioned, Facebook requires a minimum of 100 people in your custom audience in order to serve an ad to them. So uploading 100 contacts alone will not be enough. Your list will need to be much larger to enable Facebook to successfully match at least the 100 minimum. An engagement custom audience is made up of people who have engaged with your content on Facebook. You can create an audience of people from those who have viewed a video, filled out a lead form, opened an instant experience, I'll explain what that is later, showed interest in an event, interacted with products, interacted with your Facebook account, interacted with your catalog listings, or interacted with your page or content. However, this is not specifically people who like your page. In the demo, I'll show you how to target just your followers. These audiences also require you to specify a time period users must have engaged in the past, up to 365 days. After which time, if a person has no longer engaged, the person will be removed from that audience. Keep in mind, each of these engagement types must consist of at least 100 people. However, just because an ad will qualify to deliver at 100 people doesn't mean the ad will be successful. A lookalike audience takes things a bit further. It finds people who are similar to an existing audience you provide to Facebook, such as any of the custom audiences I just mentioned. Based on the characteristics of the people in this audience, such as their age, gender, behaviors, and interests, Facebook finds people who look like the people on your list. You might be thinking, this sounds great. Facebook can find more people who'll buy my product. Well, not so fast. The caveat here is you need at least 1,000 people to start with to create a lookalike audience. So that could be 1,000 Facebook followers, an email list with 1,000 names, or 1,000 purchases tracked via a pixel on your website. Facebook recommends your source audience be between 1,000 to 50,000 people, with at least 100 from a single country. You can create up to 500 lookalike audiences from a single source audience. Overall, audience matching works best for businesses who sell nationally or internationally. There's just a bigger pool of people to match against. Still, getting your base of followers or email subscribers up to 1,000 is very useful statistically and will help improve your ad performance. To recap, Facebook offers several ways to build audiences for your advertising. Core audiences consist of people identified by a geographic area, gender, age, demographics, interests, and behaviors. It is designed to deliver your ads to people who are not yet aware of your brand or business. Custom audiences consist of people who are already aware of your business and have interacted with you in some way. Custom audiences can be built from lists or activity you provide, or from engagement on Facebook. All custom audiences must consist of at least 100 people. And lastly, lookalike audiences build upon your custom audiences to find new people who resemble the characteristics of your custom audiences. Lookalike audiences require a minimum of 1,000 people from your custom audiences in order for Facebook to match others against them. Now let's look at bidding strategies. In part 1, I mentioned that all Facebook ads use an auction system with you bidding to show your ads to certain people at certain times for a specific goal. Generally, Facebook decides what your bid is using the lowest cost bid strategy. This strategy tells Facebook to bid with the goal of getting you the lowest possible cost per optimization event, while also spending your entire budget. Let me explain what an optimization event is. We discussed in detail in the last session about objectives or goals. When you select a goal, Facebook needs to know a bit more detail about how you want to approach getting that goal. In general, the default optimization is impressions. However, several goals offer additional optimization options. For example, if your objective is traffic, you have the option to optimize for landing page views, link clicks, or daily unique views. Because of time constraints, I'm not going to dig into the weeds on this now, but I've included a chart in the ebook showing the optimizations available by objective. Some optimization events are harder to achieve than others and is the primary reason to know about bidding strategy. So why should you care about your bid strategy? Because it's important to avoid bidding more than an optimization is really worth to you, and bidding more on one that is. For example, getting someone to engage with your post is probably worth less to you than actually getting someone to make a purchase. So if you run a lot of ads with the goal of engagement, lowest cost bidding makes sense because you don't really want to spend that much on engagement. It just isn't profitable to you. However, a conversion is really valuable. So in this case, you might be willing to tell Facebook to bid higher because this is a profitable opportunity. Basically, the more you try to control your costs using lowest cost bidding, the less likely you are to benefit from Facebook advertising in terms of sales. So what other bid types are there besides lowest cost? There's cost cap, where you set a maximum average cost per optimization event. So sometimes you'll be paying more to get your goal and sometimes less. This strategy is best for getting the most volume, but uses up your budget faster. Bid cap is where you set a maximum bid you are willing to spend, but you might get your optimization for less. You also might lose out on some opportunities if your bid isn't high enough. This strategy is best for controlling bids in the auction. So how do you choose which strategy to use? Lowest cost is your only option with boosted post and ad center ads. But while its goal is to get your result for the lowest cost, it does it at the expense of using your entire budget while limiting your ability to benefit from additional, more expensive opportunities. If you're just starting out with Facebook advertising, your objectives should be to reach as many people as possible and engage those who show interest. For these reasons, I recommend sticking with lowest cost. When viewing the results of your ads, take note of the actual cost you paid to get your desired objective. For example, if it's costing you $3 to get one link click, it may cost you significantly more for conversion type goals. So switching to a bid cap strategy and raising your bid threshold will help. It makes you more competitive against other advertisers vying for the same audience. There's a bit more detail involved in selecting a strategy. I've put together a table in the ebook showing bidding strategies and objectives. While we're on the topic of budgets and costs, there are two more ways to control your spending. All of the bid strategies I mentioned already are set at the ad set level. However, you can set a spending limit and budget optimization at the campaign level. A spending limit is basically a lifetime budget you plan to spend for a specific goal. For example, let's say you want to earmark $4,000 a year towards brand awareness. When you set up your ad sets, your budget will pull from this spend limit. And if you are running more than one ad set concurrently, the budget will be spent across them equally. All ads will stop running once you've reached your spending limit or the date you set in the ad set, whichever comes first. If you spend through your limit, you can adjust it in order to run more ads for that particular campaign goal. Campaign budget optimization lets Facebook distribute your spend across the ad sets based on their performance versus splitting the budget equally among them. Facebook adjusts this distribution over the course of each ad set's delivery schedule. This is a great way to set up your marketing and let Facebook evaluate the performance of your ad sets, as it prevents you from spending more on ad sets that are underperforming. To recap, when it comes to spending your ad dollars, you can adjust how your money is spent by choosing different bid strategies and using spending limits and budget optimization. The default bid strategy is lowest cost and tends to limit your results by restricting how much you spend per bid, which Facebook controls automatically. Setting a bid cap can make your ad more competitive and may not use up your entire budget, but you can also lose out on opportunities if your bid isn't high enough. You can use cap cost to specify the average cost you're willing to spend, but this strategy is best used for conversion-specific goals. With a long-term advertising plan in place, setting a spending limit helps to keep you within a set budget, which can also be optimized to fund better performing ad sets. Now let's look at some of the creative options available when making ads. In addition to formats we already covered, like single image, single video, carousel, and slideshow, there's a collection ad, which lets you showcase your products and features a primary video or image with 4 smaller images below it. Clicking on the ad brings people to an instant experience, a mini landing page within Facebook. Instant experiences can also be attached to other ad types where a link is included in the ad. It's basically designed to keep people interacting with your content on Facebook versus redirecting them elsewhere. Dynamic ads allows Facebook to choose the most relevant products from an inventory of products you upload, and using a template you create auto-generates your ads. Facebook chooses which products to show to which people who are most likely to produce the results you want. This is a great time saver if you have a lot of products. You can also retarget people who previously visited your online store but didn't purchase. Currently, dynamic ads are available in 4 vertical markets: retail, travel, real estate, and auto. Dynamic creative takes assets you have, like images, descriptions, and headlines, and leaves it up to Facebook to create combinations of these assets into ads. This saves you the time of creating individual ads, plus it finds the right combinations that produce the best results. Facebook can only track user behavior when it occurs within its various apps and via ads placed through its audience network. But when you want to know which people are interacting with your website or online store, you need to install a pixel. A pixel is a short piece of code generated by Facebook which you install on your website. The pixel follows the activity of anyone who clicks on a Facebook ad with a link to your website, and those who visit Facebook after visiting your website. It can be used to capture general activity such as clicking on a product, as well as track if someone completes an action, such as checking out. For those who don't complete a desired action, Facebook can retarget them using dynamic ads about specific products to entice them back to your website to complete the sale. The pixel data can also be used to build custom and lookalike audiences, which I talked about earlier. Pixels aren't just limited to online stores. They can be used in a variety of ways to track user activity and track conversions. Some technical experience is required to install your pixel. There isn't enough time in this session to walk through setting up and installing one, but if you're interested in driving sales to your website or capturing leads, you should explore pixels further. Now let's take a look at my top tips for online marketing. Number 1, focus on getting more page likes. Some people will say page likes don't matter anymore. While like count in and of itself isn't a useful metric, it serves to build a customer profile, which is important. It gives Facebook a clearer picture of your target audience and will improve your ad performance. You should try to reach at least 1,000 page likes to have a large enough pool for Facebook to compare to. You might not want to hear this, but you want to avoid asking your friends, family, and business associates to like your page just to get your count up. If these people are not potential customers, their likes can skew your audience profile. They're also not likely to engage with your content. Only invite friends who fit your target customer demographics and run ad campaigns to increase your like count. The larger the pool you have to work from, the more engagement you can go after with advertising, and ultimately, the more conversions you can acquire. And number 2, focus on getting people to sign up for your email list. Email is the least expensive way to market, next to word of mouth. Getting people on your list is a strong indication of someone's interest in your product, even more than a page like. Creating email campaigns to convert subscribers to customers is far more economical than repeated Facebook campaigns. Now we'll take a look at how this whole process of setting up ads in Ads Managers works from start to finish. Starting from your personal Facebook page, we're going to click on Ads in the left-hand column. This is going to bring us directly into Ads Manager. Now you can see the tab structure that I spoke about in part 1. So from the Campaigns tab, we're going to start by clicking on the Create button. And our first task is to select a campaign objective. So for this demo, I'm going to select traffic. You can optionally name your campaign. So for now, we're just going to call this demo. So click Continue, and we'll be presented with some more options to configure our campaign. You can't adjust this section here where it says auction. There aren't any other options. Traffic, again, is the objective that we selected. Clicking on More Options shows us where we can set the spending limit. So for example, if I wanted to apply $4,000, not $40,000, $4,000 to this particular objective, this is where I would set it. For this demo, I'm going to leave that off. I'm going to skip A/B testing now. I'll talk about that later in the presentation. Here is where you would set up campaign budget optimization. So just like you would select a budget and bid strategy at the ad set level, which you'll see when we get there. By setting this in the campaign budget optimization area, this will apply to all of the ad sets that you would create. And as I mentioned, Facebook will distribute your ad spend based on the performance of your ad sets versus the spending limit, which was up here, distributes your money equally between all of your ad sets. So for this demo, we're going to leave this turned off because I don't have any other ad sets and I don't need to optimize for them. So next we go into our ad set. Once again, I'm going to call this my demo ad set. And you can see I have several options to choose from in terms of what type of traffic I'm going after. So in this demo, we're going to leave it on website, but as you can see, you can switch to app, messenger, or WhatsApp. You also have the option of choosing between doing dynamic creative, which gets set up under the ad creative portion, or create an offer. For this demo, I'm going to just enable dynamic creative so you can see some of the options that are presented when we get to the creative section. Here is where you would set your budget details, similar to the way you do a boosted post, only you have the option between daily and lifetime budgets. Let's switch to a lifetime budget and you'll see that we can select our start and end dates. I do suggest that you select a start date that's at least 24 hours from the time that you're setting this up, because there is a 24-hour review process where Facebook evaluates all of the settings that you've placed in your campaign structure to ensure that they meet Facebook's ad guidelines. There are some additional options here if you wanted to choose to run your ads only at specific days and times. Generally, I would recommend leaving this off when you have say our budget's only $100 and we were only going to run for a week. This is too short a time period and too small of a budget to really run effectively on a schedule. It's generally better to just leave this off and let the ad run all the time. Now under audience is where we could select specific audiences we want to target. For example, if I wanted to target people who've already interacted with my Facebook page, I could use one of these Facebook sources. But again, this is where you need at least 100 people who have interacted at some level. So for example, let's say we chose Facebook page. If you have multiple pages, you would have to select which page you're referring to here and target how long ago, up to how long ago the person needed to have engaged with your content. The maximum amount of time is 365 days. So if you haven't had 100 people interact with your content in 365 days, then there aren't going to be enough people for Facebook to serve ads to. So for our demo, I'm going to leave this off. The next option concerns the geographic area you want to target. You have the options under here to select people living or recently in this location. This is handy when you want to do a campaign targeting people that are nearby to get them to come into your physical store. But in general, targeting people who live in this location is the selection that I would recommend. Now here is where, if you're targeting a local area, just like in a boosted post, you can type in a location and a radius. You can adjust the age range of the people that you want to target and the genders. Now we come down to detailed targeting. This is where you can decide if you want to target people with a specific demographic interest or behavior. For example, if I was a baby clothing store, I might want to target people who are parents. So if I click on parents, I can see here that my results on the right are showing me I'm really not going to get very many parents. So in this scenario, I might want to leave this off. And in fact, my suggestion would be that if you have a limited time frame, if you have a limited time span and a limited budget, that using detailed targeting really won't be that effective. However, you have the option of enabling detailed targeting expansion. This basically tells Facebook that if what you've identified under detailed targeting isn't allowing your ad to perform that well, Facebook will then show your ad to additional people. Now, just like you can target specific people, you can also exclude specific people. So again, in the example, if you were a dating site, you might want to exclude people who are married. Languages always defaults to the language set up in your profile, and it's best to leave that alone. Now, here is where under connections, you can specify people who like your page. So again, if my objective is target traffic and I just want people that already know about my business, this is where I would specify people who like my page. I can also exclude people. So if I was going after page likes, I might then choose to exclude people who already like my page. It's a good idea to leave placements on automatic. Facebook will show your ad and adjust its delivery system based on the performance. Now, here is where how you are optimizing your ad for delivery. So for traffic, you have the options of landing page views, link clicks, daily unique views, and impressions. Now, landing page views is actually a harder objective than a link click would be. And with landing page views, you could also take advantage of using a pixel on your website to track what happens after the person clicks. Cost control is where you would set up a cap and then adjust your bid strategy based on whatever that cost control is. So again, you don't see this strategy here unless you actually put a dollar amount in here. And if we select bid cap and scroll down a little bit further, you then have the option of changing your delivery type to accelerated. So accelerated delivery only works if you're using a bid cap strategy. So for this demo, we're just going to leave this off. Now, determining when you get charged, you often don't have an option to change this, although sometimes you do. And the more you advertise on Facebook, they often give you the option of adjusting when you get charged. Why does this matter? Well, if you're paying for impressions, which is basically every time your ad is shown, you're wasting money in a way because you're not really achieving the objective you want. Our objective, our optimization is landing page views. So if we're not able to only get charged for landing page views, we're going to be spending a bit more money for impressions. However, this optimization is harder to achieve. So technically you do have to spend more money in order to get that objective. So in some ways it balances itself out, but if you're always paying for impressions and you're not really getting your objective, your ad isn't really effective. So our next task is to come into our creative area. This is going to be our demo ad. I'm going to select the page and Instagram account that this applies to. This is where I can do a single image, a carousel. I can select images that will go along with my ad. I'm just going to select a few here. It's complaining because I need to put a URL in here. Okay, so we make those error messages go away, and we won't be using a pixel. So I just want to show you one of the powerful things about being able to adjust your creative. We can go in, and for each ad placement type, we can move around the crop so that for each of those placements, that ad is going to show up correctly. Like this is a good example. I might want the blue duck to be more centered, and in here, again, I might want that gold egg to be more centered. So Facebook's always going to crop to the center of your image, but if the focus of your image is elsewhere, now you have the opportunity to adjust that crop so the primary part of your image is showing for each ad placement. So this is very important for more effective advertising. So with Dynamic Creative, we can add primary text, multiple headlines, a description, different links, call to action buttons. There's a whole slew of new ones now. And we can put a pixel. I don't happen to have a pixel, so I'm going to disable that. And once we're happy with all of our results, we can review all of the settings that we've made and publish. Once we hit publish, the ad will go into the review process. For now, I'm going to select close so that when we come back to our campaign overview, we can see that the campaign was created, the ad set was created, and the ad was created. I can go back in and edit these or duplicate these at any time. However, with the campaign, I cannot change the objective once an ad set or ad are running that are attached to this campaign. Now let's take a look at some real-world results. In this example, I ran 2 ads to see which settings yielded better results. In both scenarios, I had a budget of $10. I wanted to get more people to sign up for my newsletter, but without using a pixel. The only objective I can choose is traffic, optimized for link clicks. Placement was set to automatic. In the first scenario, I used a bid cap strategy with a bid control of $1. I ran the ad for 4 consecutive days from Wednesday through Saturday around the clock. For my audience, I selected men and women 30 and over in a 20-mile radius. In the second scenario, I used the lowest cost bid strategy. Based on the results of my first scenario, I adjusted my audience and ad run schedule. I ran the ad for 4 days, but only on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m., which were the days and times that received the most clicks in scenario 1. I also limited my audience to women over 50 because they clicked more than any other audience segment in scenario 1. In scenario 1, the ad received 1,717 impressions and reached 1,283 people. It yielded 187 clicks, of which 156 were unique. After viewing my results in MailChimp, I found that only 36 people actually signed up during the time period the ad ran. So while the cost per click was 5 cents, the cost of conversion, in other words, the cost to actually get someone to sign up, was 28 cents. Remember, the ad was optimized for clicks. In order to have optimized for conversion, I would have needed to install a pixel on my website and a thank you page for a person to land on after completing the sign-up process in order to track successful sign-ups. Also, Facebook would have focused on delivering my ad to people most likely to convert versus people likely to click. In scenario 2, which was only targeting women over 50, the ad had 1,071 impressions and reached 879 women. It yielded 116 clicks, of which 103 were unique, but only 7 women actually signed up. The cost per click was 9 cents, and the cost of conversion was $1.43. For comparison, the average cost per click for Facebook ads across all industries is $1.72. So both ads cost below average. So which scenario was better? In terms of link clicks, which was our goal, scenario 1 had a click-through rate of 10.89%, and scenario 2 was close with 10.83%. In general, a good click-through rate is between 2 to 5%. For Facebook, the average for all industries is 0.9%. So both scenarios performed well in terms of click-through rate. However, I really wanted people to sign up. Looking at our conversion rates, scenario 1 was 19.25%, and scenario 2 was 6%. The average conversion rate for Facebook ads across all industries is 9.21%, so only scenario 1 was successful. So why wasn't the second scenario as successful? 2 reasons. Costs were too controlled using lowest cost bidding, and the limited audience combined with limited duration over a peak time period hampered results. Always remember, ads run in an auction environment. If you are targeting a prime audience during a prime period, you will have to pay more to get better results because you have to be more competitive with your bidding. In both cases, while the audience is considered broad demographically speaking, it's limited to a small geographic area. This may contribute to low success rates with Facebook advertising. Also, when your duration is only a few days long and your geographic area is small, scheduling your ad run on only prime days might not be as effective unless you increase your budget. Even if statistically engagement is considered lower on certain days, it's still more effective to get the exposure anyway. People need to see your ad multiple times before responding. So while a peak day may yield more responses, it could mean that after seeing your ad on other days, they chose to click on a prime day. The same is true for ad placement. There are few reasons to limit where your ads run. Facebook will auto-adjust your ad placements based on how they are performing. So set it to auto and forget it. 2 other items I want to cover that aren't found in Ads Manager but relate to ads are brand safety and tests. If you are concerned about the type of content your ad could appear next to in in-stream videos, instant articles, and through the audience network, you may want to explore Facebook's brand safety tools to control this. There are 3 ways you can limit placement. The inventory filter allows you to select the sensitivity level of content your ads appear on. Full inventory only excludes content deemed inappropriate, such as explicit sexual positions and extreme violence. Standard inventory, which is the default selection, also excludes highly sexual topics and multiple instances of profanity. Limited inventory blocks all content deemed inappropriate, distressing, or controversial, such as occasional strong language and mild sexual content. Keep in mind that adjusting your inventory settings will affect the amount of reach your ads receive. The more restrictive the filter, the lower the reach, and the higher your ad costs will be. To exclude more specific content, you'll want to set up block lists. Block lists lets you specify specific URLs where you don't want your ad shown. Facebook provides a publisher list which contains all the places where your ads could be delivered, and a publisher delivery report which shows where your ads have been delivered. You can use these lists to find URLs you want to block. The last way you can limit where your ads appear is using topic exclusion. You can stop your ads from appearing on on-demand videos about certain topics, including gaming, news, politics, and religion and spirituality. You can also stop your ads from appearing in all live streams. Live streams from government and spiritual partners are excluded automatically. Facebook provides several test options to help you better refine your marketing strategy. Unfortunately, most of these require a substantial budget, some as high as a $30,000 minimum. But it's good to understand what big brands are looking at and how they use these tests to create better performing ads. A/B testing or split testing compares ad sets to see which performs the best. You can compare 2 ad sets based on audience, delivery optimization, placement, and ad creative. A conversion lift compares people who saw your ads with those who were intentionally withheld from seeing it. It's designed to track how well your ad performs independent of other marketing efforts. A brand lift polls people in 2 groups to see if they recall your ad, brand, or message. Companies need to do a brand lift study first, which Facebook helps them with, and then based on that data is how they decide which groups to use. Brands use this to ensure they are staying top of mind and that their message is being remembered.